This week we got an entire hour of completely new gameplay for Final Fantasy XVI, including tutorials, big epic cutscenes, insane boss fights, and a lot of just random normal combat. And it's strange, but it does feel like part of the internet completely hates that FF16 is going for such flashy action combat. And I want to talk about their concerns. I want to look at some angry tweets, and I kind of want to discuss the debate of whether this game will be good or bad. What's up, gamers? Dreamcastguy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, real quick, let's start off with the positives. They basically did a big preview press tour where they explained that the entirety of the game is about 35 hours long. It's going to have 11 hours of cinematics, which actually is not too far outside the norm. A lot of Final Fantasy games are, of course, very plot heavy. Typically, 1/3 of the game is talking and, people standing around discussing the big bad. 80 hours for a platinum trophy, which is pretty much, again, pretty typical. It took me exactly 100 hours to get the platinum trophy on Final Fantasy XV, and it took me 100 hours to get the platinum trophy on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But here is the part that I feel like is where most of the hatred seems to be laser focused. The director of combat is the guy who did the combat for Devil May Cry 5. Now, to me, that is a big plus. He is an experienced gentleman who has done some very, very epic things in the past. In fact, just looking at some raw combat here, let's just take a look at a couple seconds here. You can see that they are going for a much more action-y focus than Final Fantasy has ever really attempted. There's combats, there's counters, there's abilities like dodge rolls, there's shifting between elemental types to dish out different styles of damage. This is a new era of Final Fantasy, and as much as I am excited about this, I guess I'm additionally very confused by the anger about this, because some people not only are the opposite of hyped, some people are straight up comparing it to stuff like Forspoken. This guy is saying the combat looks like Forspoken. That is insane. Now, I want to be clear. 90% of people are very honestly excited for Final Fantasy XVI. Here's a poll I put up just an hour ago. It's already got 1,300 votes. And I said, I'm seeing this weird hate for Final Fantasy XVI. Most of it is focused on the combat. What do you think? A majority of people here, 70%. Now, obviously, a lot of my subscribers are Final Fantasy fans like I am. My channel originally blew up talking about Final Fantasy and Resident Evil. But I do find it interesting that even in this tweet, there are replies of people that are not exactly hyped about it. Like OJ, Player Essence, he is a hardcore RPG fanatic. He plays literally thousands of hours of games like Fire Emblem, Pokemon, which is a turn-based game, a lot of stuff. And he says, my only issue is that they should have made a high-quality turn-based Final Fantasy game as well. If they split the franchise, kind of like what Monster Hunter Stories did with Monster Hunter Rise running alongside it. Outside of that, I'm fine with the action-based Final Fantasy XVI. And I think this is an interesting take that a lot of people have. I said that in my reply to him, I just don't think they're ever going to go back to full-blown turn-based combat. Right now I'm playing Octopath Traveler 2, and to be honest, I am completely in love with Octopath Traveler 2. I mean, it might be one of my very favorite games of the year. I mean, I am, even as a person who genuinely loved the first game, this is 10 out of 10 fantastic because it feels like classic Final Fantasy with, silly exposition, incredibly good voice acting, and, nice elemental turn-based combat. But going back to this here, a lot of these replies are interesting to me. It says here, I'm hyped, but I'm definitely a bit biased that I'm both a Final Fantasy and a Devil May Cry fan. I'm down for that classic party base too, but I'm digging the way that Final Fantasy is shaping up. Here's my favorite reply. Spawnwave Media said, "Weird hate on Twitter is the first step. Now we need a boycott, and Square Enix may have the best-selling game on their hands." It does seem like the more people hate on a game, on Twitter specifically, but social media in general, when you have a very tiny group of loud haters, that always seems to boost sales. I don't know what it is. There has to be some sort of weird Venn diagram. Even scrolling down a bit here in the replies, you start to see some of that hatred flaring up like this. "I hate turn-based combat, but I found that combat shown in FF16 looked a bit messy and hard to see what's going on, but I am an old fart. Button mashing is simplistic and boring, IMO. The ATB system that used in Final Fantasies 4 through 9 were always my preferred method of combat in single-player RPGs. I skipped both the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 15 because of the combat system, and I'll be skipping Final Fantasy 16 as well." Now, a good friend of mine in real life that I play games with constantly, who very much plays a lot of turn-based games. He plays a lot of action-y games as well. He and I play a bunch of Monster Hunter. It's my good buddy Taylor. He loves a lot of the advancements of stuff, but he has said he's not very much won over by Final Fantasy 16 because of this guy's complaint as well, basically, that the game looks a bit sloppy. I have seen this interesting complaint pop up multiple times. Final Fantasy XVI's videos looked so bad. The QuickTime events weren't even quick. You had like 9 seconds to push the button. Why is this a thing in 2023? It's a 2002 gimmick. Icon battling looks so bland. Freaking Ifrit moving at 3 miles per hour. Magic use was ass. Yeah, I'm just kind of interested in the fact that there is a lot of people that are straight up dismissing this game. I like that terminology for it because it does feel like, I think that part of the hatred for this, it's an interesting mix of classic fans who don't want the series to jump forward as much as it has. And I do think there is a separate group of people who just maybe are not aware of how much Final Fantasy loves to evolve. I've been playing the games. The first one I ever played was Final Fantasy VII, and then afterward I went back and played all the earlier games. And it was such a delightful treat to play mainline games and spin-offs, and I've really appreciated that Final Fantasy comes in a lot of different forms. There's strategy RPGs with Final Fantasy Tactics. There's racing games like Chocobo, which is, I'll admit, not a very good game. They have music games like Theater Rhythm. They even have a terrible Final Fantasy anime. Don't watch this. It's absolutely a freaking war crime. I guess my thought is, after having played literally 25 years of Final Fantasy, I have seen it take so many different forms, and in a lot of ways, they have had a lot more successes than failures. They do fall into pitfalls occasionally. There have certainly been duds. There's been certain experiments done by Final Fantasy that even I, as a fan, can definitely say were a gigantic L. I mean, Final Fantasy as a fighting game, Dissidia, I appreciate those games. I like them as a fan, but they're not exactly good games objectively. Going through this, I think that all of these features sound great. It being semi-open world, the changes they're making to the original classic vibe of Final Fantasy, this is the bold approach that I think is going to lead to even more success. The producer of Final Fantasy XVI, Yoshi P, he has said the point of this is to be the most mainstream Final Fantasy. The game that people can play Call of Duty and love this. People can play all sorts of other action games and RPGs and jump into this and still have a very good time. I think from the stuff we've seen thus far, this has the potential to be the highest selling Final Fantasy. at least if people manage to chill out for even a minute. A lot of these people seem to be very mad, just claiming that people even defending the game are somehow trying to defend it. I think we just need to go into it with an open mind. People acting like it's just Devil May Cry 6. Can we stop acting like Devil May Cry and a Final Fantasy skin is creating a new genre? We're not saying it's a new genre. We're just saying this looks great. This looks fun. This looks different. But also, it does feel like the next Final Fantasy. But what do you guys think about this? Are you excited for Final Fantasy XVI? Give this video a like if you are. I have a feeling that 99% of people are excited for it. It's just these really, really loud haters. And please don't send any angry tweets to anybody featured in this video. I'm just using these people as an example. We're all allowed to have our own opinions. Unless your opinion is that the Final Fantasy anime is good. In that case, your opinion is dumb and bad, and you're a bad person. Thank you so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and get ready for the next one, because I'm always talking gaming here on the Dreamcastguy YouTube. Okay, back to playing Octopath Traveler, because that game is crack cocaine, baby. Woo! Do you snort crack or do you smoke crack? I'm going to pretend to smoke crack. Octopath! Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.